Welcome to the Happy Soul Podcast. My name is Melissa, and this is Sammy. We are diving deep into conversations that connect and inspire. Stories of resilience, triumph, and transformation. Stories that take us to the heart of human connection. Please note that opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect those of this podcast. Please listen with your kindness and an open mind. Each story shared is authentic and vulnerable. Let's embrace our differences with empathy, knowing every voice enriches us. Together, let's cultivate a community of respect and curiosity. Thank you for listening. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired. Welcome to the Happy Soul Podcast, everyone. Today, we are so excited to be joined by Kijuan Amey. Kijuan is a veteran, an author, and a mentor, and he is here to share his story about a motorcycle accident and how that has shifted his life. And we're going to talk about his story. We're going to talk about his book. And Kijuan, we're so grateful for you to join us this morning and spend your time with us. I would like to dive in first by saying welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, no, I thank you guys for having me and just the sheer ability to tell my story on your
Yeah.
podcast and your platform because I'm telling you, you won't believe that somebody's actually told me my story did not matter. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just going to argue with them and say, yes, it does. And
Why did I don't know why. What happened? Why did someone tell you your story didn't matter?
Well, this would be me trying to get on stages, because I am a motivational speaker. And they were saying that my story didn't matter and it was old. It was irrelevant at this point, and
old.
I'm like, what? What part of me is old? I'm still living. Like the fact now, if I would have died and you were doing some kind of tribute to me, that would have been old. I'm still here, you
That's,
know.
I'm, that's
So
not.
it was crazy. Yeah, trust me. All it did, it's okay. All it did was fuel the fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So here I am.
Yeah.
Good for
And your
you.
book, I listened to your book right after, so we had our initial phone call when we met, and then I listened to your book, and I have to say I love how you've laid your book out. It is so um really, for a really harrowing story, it's also somehow uplifting, and I love how you share a piece of real tangible advice at the end of each chapter that anybody could take and apply to their life. I
Yeah.
loved that. So I want to say that, but why don't we dive in? Would you like to dive in by sharing your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So, May 5th, 2017 is when I would have this said motorcycle accident.
Mhm.
Well, at the time, I was in the United States Air Force, but I was in the reserves. I was no longer on active duty. I
Mhm.
did that commitment, and boy, was I glad to have been in the reserves.
Yeah.
So I was doing my reserve commitment. I have been in the reserves for maybe 2.5 years already at this point, and I would also be going to school full time. So studying to get my bachelor's degree in computer information systems with a specialization in systems analysis and integration.
Holy, holy smokes.
Yeah. And then I also had a business at the
Mhm.
same time. So Amy Motivation is not my first business, this is actually my second. So the first one I had was Kiwi Enterprise. And
Mhm.
Kiwi Enterprise would be where I did website design and management, social media marketing, and photography for small
Awesome.
businesses.
Awesome.
So yeah, so some people tend to leave out the small guy, and I was not that person. I saw it as a revenue.
Yeah.
So way to go fix a problem. And my reason I bring that up, that business, is because that day I would be working for the business. I mean, honestly, when you have your own business, when do you stop working? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Let's see. I would go home to get my motorcycle because it was, when I say a beautiful day, it was an amazingly gorgeous spring day
Mhm.
on that May 5th. And I was like, ooh, it's time to pull out the bike. A car with windows down, that's cool. But to get the wind all around you, oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's what it's like. That's the life right there. So I went home and got my bike, and I would ride to my church. And from my apartment to the church is probably about 10 minutes of a ride. And for all of my, motorcycle riders, you understand that that is
Mhm.
probably shorter. You know, Um, because it was really not that many turns to get there, and it's a long straight shot down this one road, and so I'm pretty sure I wasn't doing the speed limit at that time. But that's neither here nor there. And so I was like, after I did the pictures, to take those pictures for the church, I would be like, do I really want to take the bike back to the garage just for a 10-minute ride? Like that doesn't seem right. We'll go ride for a longer ride, Nina. And that was what I called my motorcycle, Nina.
Mm.
And so I would ride out to the lake. And like you said, you saw the cover, of my book.
Mhm.
Well, that motorcycle on the cover is Nina. That's Nina. Yeah, that's actually Nina right there. I took that picture of
Okay.
her, and then that backdrop is the actual lake that I went to, which
Oh,
is
no
titled
way.
Jordan Lake here in North Carolina.
Okay.
And so I would ride to Jordan Lake, and from my church to Jordan Lake is maybe about 30 minutes. That was my place to go and relax. You know how you got to have a
Hmm.
place that you can just go and be by yourself. I'm sure you two, as mothers, understand
Oh, yeah.
that.
Yesterday
You
Yes.
was my
gotta,
car while my daughter was in dance class.
so you gotta have that spot where you go and unwind, and just separate from society just for a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't touch my phone or anything. I literally had to be brought back because a car would go flying by, and I'm like, oh snap, what time is it? Oh, gotta go. And so I would jump back on the bike. No problem there. We're taking off and headed back down the road towards my apartment. And this highway that I'm on is Highway 751, but it's like a back country road type highway. Here in North Carolina, we got these really tall trees alongside the roads when you're in the sticks,
Yeah.
as we call it. This is just a two-lane road, the lane that I'm in and the lane that's coming past me. When I'm riding, I am listening to music. This is, like I said, 2017. So Bruno Mars, that 24 karat magic CD probably just,
Mhm.
just came out not too long ago. So I'm jamming out. Yeah. As I'm riding. And all I know is that everything was going great until it wasn't.
Mm.
And that's where this silver Honda Accord would pull out in front of me as I'm running 55 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
That was the speed limit on this road. And I didn't go too much faster on that road because, first off, it was only two lanes.
Mhm.
Secondly, there are driveways that are attached to this road
Mhm.
and intersections like this man came out from. So I'm not finna just be going flying, taking all these crazy turns and stuff, and you don't know what's gonna pop out in front of you.
Mhm.
But at an intersection on this back road, the trees are cut back because they want you to be able to pull out safely.
Mm.
And the reason I say that is not just for me,
Mhm.
but for what if there was a semi truck coming down the road and you pulled out in front of it and it's running 55 to 60 miles an hour? Oh, you're done
Yeah.
because that's tons of pounds hitting you,
Mhm.
except for just me on a motorcycle hitting you.
Mhm.
And I'm sure I put a dent in his car, but I know that tractor trailer would have totaled his car, and so he pulls out in front of me. And as I tell this story all the time, just like I said in my book, I had three options. I could go right and go into the trees. I could go left and go into oncoming traffic, or I could do like what happened and freeze up and hit him.
Mhm.
Now, for people who don't know much about motorcycles, they don't stop on a dime
Mhm.
unless one, you lock that front brake up and you're going to flip off of it, that sucker, or two, you hit something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, one way or the other, you're laying that bike down if it's stopping on a dime.
Yeah.
And so even in the motorcycle course, they tell you to use both brakes simultaneously. So you got the hand and the foot brake
Oh.
is what you're using. You're using both of those simultaneously to slow you down. And you can use gears if you have time.
Mhm.
For those who know about manual shifting like cars and stuff,
Yeah.
you use the gear ratios to slow you down. But anywho, this would not help me at all because I had no time
Mhm.
to react. None. And even on the police report, the two cars that were behind him at that intersection said they saw me coming. They don't know why he didn't.
Oh my gosh, Kijuan.
Yeah, they saw me coming, so they don't know why he didn't. This is all on the police report. This is not something I am making up. This is a
Hmm.
filed police report. And so, needless to say, I would have to be life flighted to UNC Chapel Hill Hospital, here in North Carolina. And geez, man, I mean, from May 5th until June the 6th, who am I? Where am I? Because I didn't even know I was still alive. I didn't know I was still in the world. When
Holy.
I woke up, I thought I was waking up from a dream.
So you
So,
were in a coma for that month then, is
yeah, a
what you're
medically
saying?
induced coma because they were doing countless surgeries on me. Literally from head all the way down to my right foot. Literally. And I'll give you the list. So they had to cut me from ear to ear across the top of my head to relieve pressure on my brain
Oh my
because it was
God.
swelling on the inside. And
Mm.
so they relieved that pressure. Then they had to, of course, my face had been crushed in because I, hit basically face first into the car. And that literally crushed my face in, which is where I had to get um, basically plastic surgery to insert metal plates in my head. So I have two metal plates in my head, and for you guys, you could probably see like that curve right there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a metal plate. Hello.
Hi.
Yeah,
Holy
And so
smokes.
then at the top of my mouth, it's one forming the roof of my mouth to curve it back out front. And then you have the bottom portion of my eyelid on the right eye was torn off. I guess that was due to the plexiglass from the motorcycle. I have no clue. And then that eye was popped out because there was nothing holding it in. And so
Hmm.
they had to take skin grafting from my left clavicle, which is your collarbone area,
Hmm.
and to repair it. Then let's see what else. Oh, my jaw was broken, and so they would have to wire that shut. And of course, a lot of my teeth on the right side were cracked and broken off. Some were even loosened to the point where you had to take it out.
Yep.
And so that was probably the cheapest bill I had was the dental bill, which
Oh
was
my
20,
gosh.
no joke, which was 20,000 US dollars after insurance.
Mm.
So that was the part I had to pay.
That was like something I wanted to ask was like, don't
Oh.
go into that now, but like, what was the medical cost coming out of this?
Oh, I'm
But
getting
sorry, keep
there.
going.
After I
Oh
finish, I
my
will
gosh.
total it up for you. And so that's just the upper part of my body. I did also have a trach because, like I said, my face being crushed in, it was hard for my nasal passage to get enough air for me. So they put a trach in. Then let's move down to my spinal cord. It was broken as well. So they medically infused it with two rods and 12 screws
Whoa.
from L4 to T2. So right before you get into that paralyzation stage, if you go
Oh.
any lower in that L section, I would have been paralyzed. I was that close. Now let's move on to the legs. So my right leg, I broke my right femur, which is the largest bone in your body. So that's a metal rod now. I could call it a metal rod, but I feel like it should be something else because that thing's huge. uh, and I broke my left tibia, which is your shin bone, and that is fully replaced from knee all the way to ankle. I fractured my right fibia, and then the screw that's in my right foot. So that's why I said literally from head all the way to right foot.
Hmm.
Holy.
Now, back to what you were saying about that total. Who wants
Ah.
to be a millionaire?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, the dental
Kiwan.
bill put me right over 20, I mean right over $1 million because my hospital bill was like 980 something thousand. And
And
so
that's
I
Okay.
just told
after
you that,
insurance, right?
well, 980
Oh,
something thousand was the hospital bill. That was the legitimate hospital stay. Here you go. Everything that we did for you, here you go. Here's your discharge paperwork along with a bill attached. It's like you get when you check out of a hotel. Here's your receipt. So that's
Oh,
basically what they handed me. I was like, Mom, what's the bill? She's like, you don't want to know. I said, actually, yes, I did. I did want to know. And like I told y'all, the dental, if you add 980 plus 20, you get 1 million.
yeah.
So bam, you
And
know.
how much of that was covered by insurance and how much wasn't? I know this is not the point of the story. I'm just here
No, no,
curious.
no, no, you're fine. Well, none, honestly, because this would not
what?
be my fault. So I didn't, it wasn't my insurance that had to pay for it. What we ended up doing was attaching it to my lawsuit.
Mm.
Oh,
Bye bye. That's
oh,
your bill now.
oh, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
And
that's
was it all
your
covered?
bill now. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh
That's
yeah.
Wow.
good.
I said that's your bill now. I'm not taking care of this because
Oh my
so here's the
gosh.
thing. At first, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a lawsuit. I'm gonna get his insurance money and this, that, the third. Uh, but I'm in a deficit because I have a freaking hospital stay bill that's almost $1 million.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Lawyers, I need your help.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing for me? You're making me in a hole. That's not gonna do anything for me. I don't come
Yeah.
out on top in this. And they were like, oh no, no, we're gonna add that to your
Oh my gosh.
lawsuit. And I said, oh, okay. And so what they did was instead of it being so the guy who hit me, he didn't have to pay it. What they did was they found one of these, Fortune 500 companies. You just go find one of them and they need tax write-offs. They take it. They'll take
What?
that bill, yeah, for as a tax write-off. Yeah.
This is
So you guys
I
are
I
learning
have
something.
right? Well, here's the thing.
Blowing
Like
my mind.
we're mind blown because um it works very different up here in
Yeah.
Canada. Like
Hmm.
when we I was
Lawyers
just
don't really
touched
get involved in car accidents unless they're like different level. I used to work in insurance, so this is why I'm.
Hmm.
Oh, so Sammy, you're
Yeah.
even, of course, I didn't even think about that. I was just
So
thinking, like, I was explaining to my son the other day, we had to go to the emergency room for something, and I don't know how we got into the conversation, but basically, like, that doesn't, we went to the emergency room,
mhm,
we didn't pay anything. Like, we don't pay for that. So, like,
mhm.
anytime we're hearing an American story about hospital bills, I and Sammy and I both had kids in hospitals for periods of time, and we're just like mind blown when we hear about hospital stay bills because we don't have that here. Like it
Even as
doesn't,
adults.
Even as
yeah, no,
adults.
no, I
Mm.
could go to the emergency room anytime I wanted, and
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
get admitted to the hospital. I could, and then you just walk out the door.
Well, see,
Like
now
it's
what I what
shocking
I
to us.
what I'll say now is now my insurance now is a little different.
Yeah, I
So
bet.
if I, with me being 100% disabled through the military and
Mhm.
VA, and if I go to the VA for anything, I don't have to pay.
Oh,
But
good.
but before they knew anything about that,
Holy
it was like,
smokes.
oh, this is your bill. And
Oh,
I ain't
uh-uh.
do this.
Yeah. Even if
Yeah,
that was here, like as long as you
I'd
have
be
the
so.
proper insurance here, like your medical bill would always be covered by the medical system here. Like it's never, you will never, that would nothing, you would never see any of that.
Yeah, yeah.
But the medical system in a car accident like that would then go to the insurance company potentially for reimbursement in
Directly.
certain ways. I don't know, I didn't work in injuries, but
Hmm.
like it would never, you would never see as
The
the
bill.
individual involved, you would never see the cost of any of those bills here in
Hmm.
Canada.
Wow.
You wouldn't even
That's crazy.
know. And even if you ask the insurance company, they'd be like, we'll go look for it. Like
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
not
it's
Yeah,
even.
no,
wild.
You'll see an
see,
ambulance bill here. You'll see an ambulance bill.
well,
That's
yeah,
it.
we got all this. So
Yeah.
bills are everywhere in the US.
Gosh, it's so unreal.
And the crazy thing is, so we get people sue over anything here,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, we've
So
seen that.
Did you guys ever see the lawsuit about the lady who spilled the coffee on
Yes.
herself and blamed
Yes.
McDonald's?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we heard about that. It's kind of a we laugh about that.
as
We've
we
So
heard
are
of
right
I
now.
I got one even better for you.
no.
So have you ever heard of Texas Pete hot sauce?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay, so Texas Pete is a nice brand of hot sauce, and it's got a guy named Texas Pete on the front. Looks like a cowboy, with a
Okay.
lasso.
Okay.
Well, somebody recently, now this company's been in business for a long time, before I was
Okay.
born, and I was born in 91. Okay, long
Okay.
before I was born. This, I don't, I think it was a lady or some guy. It was somebody that sued that company because they had Texas Pete on the bottle, but the company was in North Carolina.
What?
You talk about what is correct. That was why they sued for it was almost like misinformation or something, some junk. I don't know. It
What?
was crazy. And they
Yeah.
won. They won the lawsuit.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh,
First and foremost,
terrible.
we're so sorry that you went through that accident and the
Hmm.
recovery
Yeah.
and an induced in coma and all of those surgeries, like the massive recovery. Not only did you have to go through physically to come out to where you are right now, but mentally
Yeah.
to go through all of that. Like that is a lot, a lot, a
Yeah.
lot, a lot. And we're really sorry that you had to go through that, like
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. Just like
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that with us and just massively, massively sorry. I want to
Yeah.
Hmm.
ask you a question
Go ahead.
though about not necessarily the physical aspect, but can you share potentially on, I know a lot of what you talk about is how this changed you, how you've moved forward, how you've overcome. What would you talk about like your mentality before the accident versus your mentality now? How did that
Uh,
shift? Any?
they're not really too much different.
Okay.
The only thing that's different is needing help. I need more help now.
Hmm.
So my mindset in the ask excuse me, asking for help is kind of one of those things where like I feel like I have to go back to here in the States in our, in grade school, your elementary and all that stuff. You raised your hand for help.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I gotta go back to one of the, hey, real quick, can I get your assistance? Like one of those things instead of back before the accident, May 5th, prior to 2 p.m. I was doing whatever I wanted because I knew how to do it or I would
Yeah.
figure it out.
Hmm.
I didn't have limitations put on me. And I won't say I have limitations now, but there are limitations because the world we live in is based on a majority, which are people who are sighted.
Yeah.
So it's not built for me
Hmm.
as far as, people who are visually impaired or blind,
Right.
because visual impairment can be a wide range. I am completely blind, okay? And I tell people, just call me blind. I'm okay with that,
Mhm.
because I'm not seeing anything. So anyway, that was where my mindset had to say, geez, I wish I could do this on my own.
Mhm.
Like, and I get frustrated. I do because there are things that I would love to do that I just can't because I can't see it or it's not accessible.
Mm.
That's a huge word for us in the disabled community, or as I like to put it, the differently abled community.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that.
That is a huge word for us, accessibility.
Hmm.
Now, I will give you a story that my grandmother just told me. I had no idea about this until like two months ago, I think.
Mm.
And she said, I remember one time we went to it because I played drums for my church. And for those who might just be listening and can't see this podcast, there are drums behind me.
I was gonna bring that
Mhm.
up. Yes.
So I do play drums at my church. And we went to I think it was like some kind of event or just another fellowshipping church that we fellowshipped with before the pandemic.
Hmm.
And my grandmother was like, when you got there, you just asked somebody to take you to where the drums were. And I was like, I did. She was like, yeah, because you said that somebody told you they weren't set up. And you were like, well, I'll go set them up. And so I walked up there And this is not my church. This is a whole
Oh.
nother church I know nothing about. Okay. And so they walked me up there and I said, okay. They were like, well, what you need help with? And I said, all right, well, hand me this. And they'll hand me that, hand me a snare, for example. Okay, hand me the stand that it goes on. I need this, and then I need the tom, and I need this, and I need a cymbal stand over here, and then I need the hi-hat stand. And they're just like, okay, is this it? And I'm like, yeah, that's it, And so I put this whole drum set together for the entire event, and then I
Whoa.
go back and sit down.
And when was this? How old were you?
Oh, this was two, it was either 1 or 2 years after the accident.
After the accident.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was after the
Whoa.
accident. So I'm blind,
Kijuan.
all that medical stuff I told y'all about, everything.
Mm.
Nowhere
Wow.
near as strong as I am right now. Nowhere near it.
Wow.
Know your way around a drum set, though, sounds like.
Oh, yes. Any day of the week you talk to me about a drum set, I will blow your head.
So
So,
is that part of your you talked about sorry, I interrupted
yeah,
you. Sorry,
go
Kiwan.
ahead.
You talked about music therapy at one point. Is that part of it?
What?
When you said
Playing drums.
when we were just talking, like when we first got on this call and we are
Uh-huh.
just like saying hello to each other and you said you have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
music therapy later, is that like can you tell us about that?
Yeah, music therapy is more so the keyboard side of it.
Oh, okay.
Because I just
Okay.
started learning the keyboard
Oh,
in
cool.
2020.
Oh,
Hmm.
The
cool.
the
Wow.
drums I've been playing since I was 7.
Wow.
So that's why I know my way around a drum set.
Wow. I actually, while we're talking about music, I wanted to know because you talked about your playlist in the book,
Hmm.
and I wanted to know if you had a playlist that you is it pub like do you are you on Spotify? Do you have a playlist that you share?
You know what? I haven't even thought about that. But no, I don't. The reason being is because I'm different. Like
Mm.
certain days, I feel
Mm.
certain vibes.
Yeah, totally.
One day I might be feeling Ty Tribbett. One day I might be wanting to go back old school and throw it back to John P. Key. It's
Yeah.
just those types of things. Uh, One day I might be feeling R&B.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And even with certain or neo soul, like with a Jill Scott type.
Cool.
Man, listen, when I tell you it's what I'm feeling that
Yeah.
day, that moment. Oh gosh, what's that guy's name? Forrest Frank.
Okay.
Have you heard of him?
No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah,
I'm
look him
writing it
up.
down.
Forrest Frank, Good Day, I believe is what it's
Okay.
called. Good Day. And that song is so cool. I'm about to have a good
Oh, I love
day.
that song. I play that
Yeah.
song. I didn't know realize who it was. I
Yeah,
play
that's
that
him.
song every morning for my kids when we're leaving
That
for
is
school.
him.
That's
Yep,
our
that
get
is
up and
him.
leave the house song. I love that song.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so
And when I
good.
say it's so powerful,
Yeah.
when I tell you I love not
Ah.
just the lyrics, not just his voice,
Yeah.
but the birds chirping in the background. It's so everything about that song speaks to your soul
Yeah.
and it makes you happy. It makes you feel
Yeah.
like you're gonna have a good day.
Yeah, totally. I love it. Okay, I want to take a little bit of a rewind. Sammy, is that all right?
Hmm.
Okay. So I want to take a bit of a rewind because I want to go back to something and hopefully I'm not gonna hopefully I don't hit a nerve here, but I want to rewind back here.
Hmm.
So you're driving down the like when you said this part in the book, I was like I stopped. Like I had your audiobook on
Hmm.
and I was cleaning my son's room. I had your audiobook on and I had my notepad out because I was writing things down that I wanted to talk to you about and you talked about like this Civic being the last thing that you saw and I just stopped. I was like I
Yeah.
and then I'm listening to you tell this story about you're in this medically induced coma and there's all of
Mm.
these things happening to your body like without you even knowing. You've got all these
Yeah.
surgeries happening. So you see this Honda Civic is the last thing that you see, gut drop. And then you wake up and you're trying to see and you're not seeing. And then you talk about in the book you talk about um not holding anger towards this driver. And that has stuck with me since I listened to it, since we last spoke. And I want to talk about that for a minute. Can you talk, like, when we're listening to the story, I'm like, the anger you must have felt, the crushing anger you must have felt. I
Yeah.
can't even remotely put myself in that position, no matter
Yeah.
how hard I try. So, like, can you talk about that forgiveness and that letting go of that kind of emotion? Is that an everyday thing? I mean, I know I'm opening up a whole can of things to talk about. Can we dive into that just a little bit?
Yeah, no, this is great. This is why I'm smiling. I love talking about stuff like this because this goes back into my spirituality,
Yeah.
me being faithful, me
Mhm.
being a Christian and a true man of God. Because, and I'm not trying to get so spiritual on you guys that you
It's
just
okay.
want to tune out. What I'm
No,
trying
it's
to
okay.
get you guys to understand is there has to be forgiveness in order for you, not the other person, in order for you to move on in your life.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because forgiveness is for you. It's
Mhm.
not for the other person.
Mhm.
Because first and foremost, I can forgive you all day long. If you don't accept it, I can't do nothing about it. I can't make you forgive me. I can't beg you. I can't pay you. None of that. That's why it's for me, not for the other person. So when I talked about that in the book, that's what I was hinting at. I had to forgive him in order to move forward, in not just in my life, in my healing,
Mm.
in my interaction with other people, because I was putting this on other people in ways that I didn't know. I'm angry at him, but I'm reflecting it on others. People that want to come see me, they're happy as could be, and then I'm like angry and like, what's wrong with you? Who did something to you today?
Mm.
And I'm like, oh no, it's something I'm thinking about. And they're like, well, what are you thinking about? And I was like, man, this guy, he changed my life forever. Man. They were like, listen, if you're gonna do this all your life, it's gonna be a long road.
Mhm.
When I heard
Yes.
this is going to be a long road, I was like, my road already been long, man. I don't want it to be no longer. You know? And so I just had to go into the mindset of forgiveness, man. It's a powerful tool. And if you know how to use it, please use it. Because I've never felt more free. And here's the other side to that, because there are people who say, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget.
Mhm.
Okay, when you do that, that means you're still holding on to it. So you haven't forgived. Forgiving
Interesting.
is forgiving and letting it go. Move on. Okay? You cannot say, I'm going to forgive and not forget and think you're going to move forward in life.
Hmm.
I promise you, I know people who said that and they're still in the same place.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to ask about that because we also just had an episode recorded. A gentleman, Brian St. Louis, he speaks about radical empathy, and we were talking about forgiveness on that episode and the mentality of you can forgive but you can't forget, and it's like a different mentality. Like you can, like you don't forget about your car accident. You don't forget that
No.
it happened, but you're not thinking of the other person in that car accident. You're thinking of yourself, right?
Right.
And so I think there's a difference is you can't forget, but you can forget the emotion and the th things that it
The
caused in
anger.
you, right?
That
You
are
can forget the
attached to it.
anger. Maybe not
Yeah.
maybe you can't forget the moment because it
Hmm.
happened, like it's just part
I
of
mean,
life. But the anger, the frustration, the blame, the all of that is what you can forget when you forgive.
listen, when I say this, so when I finally did forgive versus
Mhm.
when I didn't, when
Mhm.
I forgave and forgot, you saw a different smile on me.
Mhm.
When I'm
Wow.
thinking about this thing and festering in it for a long period, you don't see a smile from me.
Mhm.
All
Mm.
you see is anger. All you see is me in pain. All you see is me trying to figure out what's next for me. What do I do now?
Mhm.
Now, when I'm in a state of forgiveness, guess what? You see me figuring it out. You see me smiling. You see me playing the drums. And
Mhm.
I am, and when I tell, listen, if y'all lived in North Carolina, I would invite y'all to my church because y'all will see me on Sundays over there playing and smiling. Okay. Literally, I've never smiled so much in my life on the drums. Like I'm literally playing and smiling, and I can't see them.
Mhm.
I laugh at myself when I miss. Like
Wow.
that is happiness. when
Hmm.
you forgive and let it go.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you see there's a chapter in my book
Mhm.
called Hurt, Heal, Let It Go.
Mhm.
There's a chapter in there. I beg y'all to read that one.
Mhm.
That is a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
Mhm. It is a good one. I agree.
I think that's the
And
difference too, though, of what you're saying is like like you said, you haven't forgotten the accident, but you've let go of it.
yeah.
So that's the difference isn't necessarily that you completely forgot about it, but that you've forgotten and let go of what that caused. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The anger, the all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It's a
I
really
just
good
said
message.
this on a podcast recently. It's the grudge. Don't
Mm.
that's
Mm.
if you've ever held a grudge between
Yeah.
somebody, you
Yeah.
know what
Mhm.
I mean. As soon as you see that person, as soon as you hear their name, as soon as
Yeah.
it's anything about it is brought up, guess what turns on?
Yeah.
That moment.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
promise you, if you've ever held a grudge, your whole body language, your mind, your face, everything changes.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Absolutely.
Totally.
It's hitting,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm
absolutely.
saying. Like that's why I can't allow that. Like I don't even know the guy's name because I didn't want to associate the accident with a name.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whoa. Have you
I didn't
had
want to.
any, did you have any contact with him after the accident? Like any,
I laugh because I
Like that
didn't,
laugh.
but he did. He
what?
he wanted to, well, he was being sued, right? So
Yeah.
he wanted to reach out. He reached out through my lawyers. My lawyers got in touch with my mother, who is my power of attorney, is what we call it here, when you can't
Hmm.
function, because all the surgeries and the induced coma. She was
Yeah.
my POA,
Yeah.
and he reached out to her now, or they reached out to her to see if he could come to the hospital and visit me
Mm.
Mm.
and
What?
speak to me and say like and apologize, all these things. I said, and my mom came in the room one day. I don't know what day it was, but this was after the fact that I could speak again.
Oh my
And
God.
I know I could speak again. I remember exactly what I said. I think I wrote it in the book. I'm pretty sure I wrote this in the book. But anyway, she comes in there and she's like, "Hey, got a question for you." And I said, "What? What's up?" And she's like, the guy who hit you, he wants to come see you." I was like, "What?"
Mm.
And she was like, "Yeah, he wants to come up here and visit you and stuff." And I said, "Do you want me to go to jail?" Oh yeah, those were my that was verbatim my words. "Do you want me to go to jail?"
Right.
And she's like, "What?" like, like what? Like what? Wait, what? That just took a turn. And I'm
Uh,
like, why would I want to see him?
mm.
This man just changed my life forever. And you hear the anger that's coming out?
Yeah.
Like this was before the forgiveness.
Of course.
It was like, why would I want to see him? He changed my life forever.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I don't want to hear anything this man has to say. He was in the wrong, not me.
Mm.
Let him live with it. And that was before the forgiveness. Oh no, listen, 25-year-old Kijuan didn't play those games. Okay. And listen, I have some serious blood in me that will
Mhm.
bring out rage and anger. Okay. And so listen, I said I will find a way to get a hold of him.
Mm. Oh my
So
gosh.
question,
Go ahead.
would you hear him now?
Yeah, actually now I would say yes, because like I say, I'm not there anymore.
Hmm.
Just,
Again, that was me literally maybe 2 weeks after I could not me,
Yeah, yeah.
figure out where I'm at. Like, man,
No, it
my
makes sense. Makes sense where you were. I was just curious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know what I'm saying? Like that was where I was then.
yeah.
Now I'm okay with talking. I mean, I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
also ask, do you, maybe this is a bit much of one, but do you have, or did you have, like PTSD flashbacks of the moment before you hit the
Ooh.
car afterwards?
No.
Yeah.
Thankfully,
Mm.
because your brain puts you in a protective state.
Hmm. Hmm.
So when I hit him, I don't even know what that's like. I don't know
What's
none of
the
that.
what's the moment you remember then? Like what is the
I mean, what I remember what my brain is creating.
mm,
Ooh.
So I don't even know how accurate it is.
Hmm.
yeah.
I just know what it created, the visual it created.
Yeah.
So the impact, who's there?
Holy smokes.
You know what I mean? Like this is
Yeah.
what your brain does
Hmm.
because from what I'm hearing, and doctors can tell you more because I'm not one, your brain could recycle that visual over and over so much to the point that it raises your blood pressure and kills you.
Hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah. It
That's
can get really bad.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I'm grateful that I don't.
Yeah. Wow.
And but what I will say is I do have PTSD. It's just not that.
Mm,
Wow.
My
Okay.
PTSD stems from again knowing that somebody pulled out in front of me.
Hmm.
So here, I don't know your driving laws, like how you guys operate if you're on the right side or the left side of the road. I don't
we're
know you.
basically the same as you. We're basically the same as
Okay,
you.
okay. So you know how you make a left turn
Hmm.
in front of traffic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anytime I do that, m my mind keys up my right ear to listen out for traffic.
Whoa.
Yes, it does it all the time. When I first noticed it, I was white knuckling a door handle. And for those
Whoa.
who don't know what white knuckling is literally you squeezing the life out of it.
Yeah. Wow.
And I realized my hand was hurting and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, oh, I'm holding on to the door handle. That's why, and
Wow.
I was like, well, what the heck was I doing that for? And because I didn't realize it the first time. I was like, what am I doing that for? But about the second or third time, I started to notice it was at the same spot that I was doing this.
Mm.
And it was because I was hearing traffic
Mm.
and I'm trying to brace.
Wow.
And so that was the PTSD from it. But now, I do mental therapy.
Hmm.
Um, and I advocate for anybody who's been through anything, anything. It does
Hmm.
not have to be as bad as me. You could
Hmm.
have had a surgery on your baby toe. And listen, if it's still if you're still afraid, listen, I need you to go to mental therapy. If something's bothering you, go to mental therapy
Mm.
because I am a huge advocate for them because they've helped me, not just with the PTSD, but emotionally. Because
Hmm.
my with me hitting that car, the frontal lobe, that housing in the frontal lobe, that's where your emotions and stuff lie.
Hmm.
And I damaged that really bad. I had a severe traumatic brain injury to the
Oh my
point where I have short-term memory loss.
Whoa.
It's not as bad as some people, but it is bad enough. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so they helped me with controlling emotions and having coping mechanisms or ways to bring myself back down when I'm about to erupt because I'm a volcano at times. So so they bring me it brings me back down. That's why I used to take blood pressure medication too because
Mm.
my emotions, I mean, sheesh, you talking about blood pressure spiking really quickly. And it wasn't because I was out of shape. It wasn't because I had bad cholesterol. None of that. It was because my emotions were uncontrollable at the time.
Hmm. Thank you
Wow.
for sharing that. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Um, Kiwan, when we originally talked, you talked about how you now mentor people that have are blind, going blind, have that this has happened to, and you shared with us, and I wondered if we could talk about it just for a sec. Um, you shared with us about some advice that you were giving to um I think it was a young man who had a eye degenerative.
Hmm.
Does that
Yeah,
ring a bell?
yeah,
Yeah. So what advice did you give to this young man who was struggling with this
yeah. No,
major life transition?
for his scenario. So, by the way, before I go into this, I'll preface that it's not just people who are visually impaired,
Mm.
but also I also mentor people who have been through motor vehicle accidents,
Okay.
traumatic brain injuries,
Okay.
because not all traumatic brain injuries come from or stem from motor vehicle accidents. You
Of
could have
course.
been, hit over the head by something,
Yeah.
anything. I also talk to people with PTSD,
Okay.
just a plethora of things, you know. But anywho, back to the story. So this young man, he hasn't even been in the Air Force that long, by the way. Him and his fiance, they are engaged right now, and this is what he was telling me. He's like, him and his fiance plan on getting married, this year. He's like, my eyesight's failing me and it's, slowly deteriorating. And I was like, well, will they go completely dark? And he's like, they don't know. And so he's like, I want to see my wife and kids. He's like, I don't have kids and I'm trying to do the right thing in waiting till after we get married to do that. And then he says, I want to see him grow up.
Oh.
He's like, who's this? I don't know if my eyesight will hold up that long. What it sounds like, it's not.
Mhm.
And he's like, every so often, it seems my eyesight gets worse and worse. And I said, hey, listen, man. Now, I don't know what it's like to have children because I don't have any and I don't have a wife, but I do have a girlfriend.
Mm.
What I will say is just have people describe things to you. And I said, even with children, I said, I love having my nephews interact with me. And you know what I do? I said, I go ask them questions. Hey, man, what do you got on today? And I say, I want you to make it exciting for them. Don't you be like, hey, what you wearing today? What kind of shoes you wearing? Yeah, did your mom do your hair? No, make it so that they want to interact with you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I said, hey, what you got? What you got on today? What kind of shirt is that? Oh, you got a shark on your shirt? Oh, that's cool. What color is it? What? It's blue? Man, that's cool. Is it like from like a TV show or something? It is. What show is it? Oh man, you must love that show. Oh man, so what kind of shoes are you wearing? Steph Curry's? Do you even know who that is? That's what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to and also I told her, I said, dude, I wrestle with my nephews and I'm gonna do it until I can't.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because that gives us a bond.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
creates that connection and it makes them feel like Uncle Kiwi can still get down here and play around with us.
Mhm.
Even though he can't see us, he can still play with us. He can still
Yeah.
interact with us. He's
Mhm.
still our uncle. He's not our blind uncle. He's our uncle.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
I am your uncle who is blind,
Yes.
not your blind uncle. Okay.
Mm.
And so once he heard that, he said, man, I've never heard it described though. I said, that's what I'm here for, man.
Mhm.
Mm.
Literally, I was like, that's what I'm here. I'm here to help you, here to be a sounding board and try my best to
Mhm.
give you some great advice.
I know that you, like you said, you're a public speaker and you're a motivational speaker, you're a mentor. When you're out speaking, and I'm sure you have different things that you're going to try to talk about and that you want to get across in your conversations, but is there one thing that when someone comes to hear you speak or when they listen to a podcast, whether it's this one or any other one that you've been on, is there one thing, one message, overall message that you really hope that people receive from you?
You don't even have to hear me speak. I just want you to see me. And
Mhm.
the reason I say that is because you've probably read my story, you probably read my book, you've probably seen a video or heard a podcast of me. But when you see me, I look nothing like what I've been through.
Mm.
That is a testament in itself. And the story or the thing that I want you to grab from that is that just because I've been through something doesn't mean that's going to hold me to that standard. When I tell you I'm push boundaries, because it's not just to say that I did it, it's to say that
Mm.
you can too.
Mm,
Ooh.
You know, I have I've had people who come before me that did this stuff. Okay, now it's my turn to see if I can learn it. Let me show up, you know? And the one thing I tell people is don't show up for me. Show up for yourself. Because when you show up, it's not to, oh yeah, I supported him. It was cool. No, I want you to come in there because I'm finna deliver you a message that I hope you never forget.
Mm.
Like I have one coming up in May 3rd,
Mhm.
2025, here in North Carolina. And it's titled Will to Overcome. But
Ooh,
will is in all caps. WILL, that's all capital letters and it stands for something. It stands for win in life's lessons.
Mm.
And so I'm going to teach you when you come to that event, I'm going to teach you how to win in life's lessons in order to overcome adversity.
dang.
Dang, it's right.
We
So
are
let's go.
smiling so
Let's go.
big. We're smiling so big over here.
So let's
We-
go, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so your message. I have to just say, I mean, we want to respect your time. We could keep you all flippin' day. I mean, like I just your heart and your passion for just loving on people and
Yeah.
sharing this message is just so dang beautiful, and we're so grateful for you to spend this time with us and share some of it with us. We're smiling so big over here. We're just so appreciative, and we love your message and we love what you're doing. I think that mentoring people and showing people what they can do and showing people what they can accomplish and overcome, and you're living your life in this beautiful example of forgiveness and moving forward, and I just think it's so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Kiwan. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. Really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm grateful I was able to get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything else that we didn't touch on today that you were like, I really wanted to share this?
I would love to tell you all what I did in the military.
Okay,
Sure, yeah.
tell us.
I don't know if you
Oh,
guys know.
I
But
read I listened to your
yeah.
book and I was like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Share
So
it.
for the
So good.
listeners, what she's referring to, let me, if I may say so,
Yes.
what she's referring to is me being an in-flight refueling specialist. And what that means is, so you know how you pull up to the gas station on the ground and you go fill your car up. Well, they have the capability to do that in the military with airplanes,
So
but
good.
in the sky. So you're flying around and hello, there's a tanker, is what we call them. So the KC-135 Strato tanker is what I was flying on. The tanker is airborne and I need
Bananas.
fuel. So you have fighters, bombers, heavy aircraft, reconnaissance planes, whatever. I mean, we could refuel Navy and Marines. If they had the capability, we had the gas. And so we would refuel you and I loved my plane because what we would say is, yeah, man, I lay on my stomach and pass gas all day. Because that's what we do. We lay it on our stomach in the KC-135, the KC-10 and the KC-46, they sit upright. That's whack. Anybody can sit in a chair and do it. But I want to lay on my stomach and pass gas. It feels better. And
That's
so
bananas.
that's what I did, but I didn't know how fun this would be or how much I would like it, but I also became an instructor and I taught it.
Ooh.
So I actually taught people how to do this as well. Now,
Cool.
there were some interesting moments, okay? The first thing they teach you in school when you're becoming an instructor, like you're going through the upgrade process, the first thing they tell you is don't let that student kill you. Don't let. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay, I want to go home. I'm going home. See y'all later. But he's like, no, seriously. The thought process you need to have is that student is trying to kill you. And I'm like, well, why would I want them in the seat? Like that doesn't make sense. Let me just do the air refueling. And it's to say that what you should be doing is thinking ahead of them. So before they even let it get to a bad situation, you should have already thought that it was going to be bad.
Mm.
and you should be already canceling that contact. So it's so impressive how far ahead they make us think. Like, it was crazy how much how much further ahead you think.
Mm.
You can tell on the ground if this kid is going to be a good boom or if he's going to be terrible that day. Like, they gave you the inside scoop
Wow.
because of how they were moving around, because of how they might be looking, because of how they might be reading, how they're doing the briefing.
Yeah.
Okay, they're talking kind of slow, so something is either bothering him or he's not in a good mood this morning. He didn't get good sleep. I might want to keep an eye out on him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so
Crazy.
cool.
So yeah, that was my job. I loved every minute of it. Well, okay, I say every minute, except for maybe once or twice when I thought I was gonna die. I loved every minute of it.
Except for that.
Yeah, except for the fireball. There was once a fireball behind me. That was the Navy. Thanks, go Navy. You guys suck. No. But yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
I just wanted to, tell you guys what I did in the military.
Yeah. Yeah. That's bananas.
Yeah,
It's
that's
something
pretty
I can't
crazy.
even wrap. It's
The
bananas.
jobs you don't think about that exist out there, hey?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
So cool.
Exactly.
yeah.
A
I
cool
always think about
job.
that. The jobs, you
Wow.
hear people's jobs, you're like, that's a job? Holy smokes, I guess so,
Whoa.
right? Yeah.
It's funny you say
So
that
cool.
because that is exactly what I said when the recruiter showed it to me. Because he pulled it up on the computer, and I said, come on, man. See, now you pulling my leg, okay?
You're messing with me.
Yeah, like, I get it. You guys are cool, but that's not funny. You can't do that. Like, I really want to do a job that's cool, but that's not funny. And he was like, no, seriously, that's a job. I say, wait, what?
Thank you
love
for
it.
sharing that with us, Kijuan.
Yeah, no
Oh
problem,
my
Sam.
gosh.
Good talking to you all.
You too.
you
Thanks so
too.
much. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. To help support the growth of this podcast, please feel free to leave us a review, follow us on socials, or recommend us to your friends. Your support honestly means the world to us. With love, Sammy and Melissa.